founders, Alex and Pete of White Label Storage, with us to talk about some exciting concepts they provide in self-storage management. And as we all know, management is probably the least exciting activity when you own a storage facility. You like getting the regular checks coming in. You like the big sale when you sell it in the end. But between those moments, you have to work with the customers and do all the right things to make sure that the money is coming in the door. And that's where these guys come in. And so, Alex and Pete, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, well, great. Well, give me a quick overview. I know you guys do management for operators of their storage facilities, but give us first a quick glimpse of how you even got involved in this. Like what interested you in this sector?
Sure. We were classmates at Harvard Business School. We had this idea for a sort of a retail self-storage platform. We wanted to bring storage closer to where people live and work in cities. So we started converting space into small neighborhood walkable self-storage facilities. We call it a decentralized self-storage platform. You know, your typical self-storage facility is a remote warehouse, typically in an industrial zone. We sort of take a warehouse, break it up into much smaller locations. The unit mix is a bit smaller, and we bring it closer to kind of a meatier, higher need urban customer. Because we built that business, and along the way, we built technology and process to become a self-storage manager. And sort of opportunistically, we actually had a landlord ask us, hey, I'm an office landlord. I converted a piece of an office building into self-storage. Do you guys think you can manage it? It's not for me. You know, as everyone on this pod that might listen to this podcast knows, it's a consumer business. You got to track people down for money. You got to answer the phones, and there's a whole customer service component. It's just not run with like a JLL or CBRE broker. So we took over management of that store, and that's when it sort of dawned on us that we should absolutely be in that space because of the experience we had. And we wanted to focus on, at first, at least the non-institutional part of the market. So we built a brand called White Label Storage. By the way, the retail brand is called Local Locker. You can see some of the signage here behind us for our urban stores here in New York. And we've now got over 100 stores that we manage around the U.S., ranging from 50 to 80 units on the small end, all the way up to over 1,000 unit fully staffed facilities. We've got our own website. We've built a lot of our own software, but we use a lot of the software in the industry. So we're very familiar with everything that's out there, and happy to be here to talk about it.
Gotcha. Okay, so tell us a little more on White Label Storage. So what do your services include? What can you do for a storage operator right now?
Yeah, so we can really take over management fully and make it kind of a passive asset. Like when we were ideating with the business and trying to get into it, we were talking to owners, and like over and over again, people will get into it as their first asset purchase, $1 million, $2 million, maybe do an SBA loan. And folks didn't really understand the amount of work it entails, particularly relative to other types of commercial assets you can purchase. You purchase $1 million warehouse or retail center. You don't have that much work to do relative to $1 million storage facility, and it's certainly not as customer facing. So people would just kind of step into this, and then after they purchased it, be like, "Oh man, this is way more than I thought. I don't have the time, the toolkit, the ability to manage this as effectively as I want." Now, if they went to the market, sure, you could hire Extra Space as a manager, but you slap their fee structure on your 100, 200 unit asset. Their fees are going to be more than your top line revenue, right? So we found that there was this gap. There was this strong market need, but there wasn't a provider that we thought was really delivering for these mom and pop operators. Certainly not at a national scale. So that's what our mission is.
Okay, and what is this cost? In other words, if someone is watching this and saying, yeah, I'd like to have someone do my management, I fit all the profile of your typical customer, just ballpark me. Obviously, I know the cost structure probably has a lot of variables in it, but what does this run just generically in the most basic 5,000 foot elevation level?
Yeah, so 100 unit facility, we're probably going to charge $1,000 a month, and then we sort of manage everything soup to nuts. and we are able to eliminate some expenses that are already on the pro forma. So we'll maybe come in, we're charging $1,000, we're going to eliminate $300-400. We're going to save the owner a lot of time, and then of course, you need to deliver on the top line revenue too to make it a value add for our owners.
Okay, and let's assume I've got a 100 space facility, and customer wants to rent a unit. Obviously, you're in New York, so this is obviously being done virtually, I assume, correct? So how does it work? Give me a typical 100 unit operator's day with white label. We've got an ad. If someone wants to rent something, how does that work exactly?
Sure. So yeah, 100 unit store is probably going to be run remotely. We have our own customer service team. So you're going to, let's say your user journey is you went on Google Maps and you found the storage facility. You call, our customer service team will pick up the phone. We've already set up we'll have you on an FMS, right? Most FMSs out there, facility management software, allow for online booking. Any facility we're managing will. Our customer service team will walk you through your online booking. Or if you didn't call, you could just discover us and book straight through our website. Once you've signed up, like many other storage, it's the case with most facilities in the industry, you get your welcome email, which will include a unique access code to the store gate. This tends to be better if you've got some sort of secure gate and low voltage access control system in place. And then we like to use something like a KISS one lock or a DaVinci lock on the units themselves, so that you're distributed your access or your key code for that lock as well. So all the units are locked. You can show up. You've got a clean unit ready for you, and we bill you online. And then there is obviously some stuff that does need to happen on site, and that is the whole point of these. The only way to run these smaller assets economically is to organize labor to get there efficiently and as infrequently as possible to while still providing the best service. So we now have some national vendor relationships that we can line up boots on ground to go clean the facility, overlock units, and do everything that needs to be done to keep the facility in ship shape.
Okay, so the roll-up door breaks, then you guys are handling that. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep.
So what do you not handle? Like what can you not handle that would typically happen with a 100 unit owner? What are some of the drawbacks or restrictions here?
So there's nothing that we can't handle in terms of running an asset. Like we're not the best people in the world to do a big CapEx project. That's not, we're not focused on getting good at that, right?
Right.
More routine stuff, replacing gates on, we can oversee. But if you want to replace all your units, do asphalt, so on, we're probably not the best people for that. So I don't think there's anything that we can't do. I just think one of the drawbacks, it's like if an owner is running a facility himself or herself and they're good at it, like you can do a great job with that. Like it's yours, it's your baby. You're inherently going to care more than anyone else in the world, right? So to sort of, you need to then you're sort of trading that in the typically locals. You're trading like the local knowledge. This is my thing. I care more than anyone, for a little bit more institutional knowledge, a little bit more scale, dedicated teams. So it is like a trade-off for sure. But we ultimately think we can deliver. But I think more what happens, and you get over time, like it's hard for owners sometimes to give up control over something they've been managing, and their customers are used to dealing with one person in a certain type of way. So sort of like change is really hard. If you're acquiring an asset and you're acquiring it from someone who's running it this way anyway, that change is already coming. So we're a great, when we step in there, you don't have to deal with giving something up because you didn't have it in the first place, right?
Right. Yeah. Let's assume someone doesn't pay. What do you do?
A tenant or a client?
A tenant.
We've dealt with a little bit of both, but we run the delinquency process the same way anyone else would. I mean, obviously every state has its own practice and law in place. That is a little bit where some of our tools come in. We're actually rolling out right now a one-click payment option. Most of the software providers out there have like a portal And there's a little bit of friction to get somebody from being willing to pay to actually taking their payment. So we're trying to automate a little bit of that, but it's a little bit of everything. Our customer service team and our remote site managers will track down people for payment. We'll coordinate boots on ground to go put an overlock on the unit. The gate access software will already have locked that tenant out as soon as possible, as soon as it legally can. Usually it's like 5 days. And then we'll run all the way through the delinquency process. I mean, if you've got a full facility, it's often the case that you're just trying to get that unit back online. So, we do a lot of pay and vacate just to try to get people out of the unit, get whatever we can from them and get that unit back online, because you want a good tenant in place of a bad tenant. You're not going to make a lot of money on these auctions. Just a time suck. But we run the process the same way anyone else would. We probably have a little bit of our own best practices we've put in place based on how our team is structured and what technology we have. But same as what you're familiar with. And we can get into the details. I mean, for us, calls help. It does just happen to be the case that like only sending automated messages is not going to get the job done. Our goal is to have ARs be as low as possible, especially after the 30-day mark, keep it down under 3%. And in order to do so, you need a combination of calls, automation, and being effective with just clearing out people, that identifying bad tenants as soon as you possibly can. People who are late should be late.
Okay, and what size would you recommend someone go from this virtual management to white label, having somebody there on site? Like what's the breaking point between virtual and non-virtual, in your opinion?
Yeah, and it depends some of it. Typically around like 300-400 units. For two reasons. So like one, just larger, like it's a fixed cost, right? So larger facilities, there's more revenue. You can spread that fixed cost over more units. So it's just less painful when you're looking at the income statement. And then the second piece is having someone on site can help with customer acquisition. It does help with customer acquisition. So you can fill a 100-unit facility up without having someone on site. Just good SEO, SpareFoot, AdWords, whatever. You can fill it up. You can fill up a 400-unit facility without that, but it gets increasingly harder to fill up larger facilities, right? So having someone on site, now it's both. It's kind of an expense line item, but it's also kind of marketing spend and customer acquisition spend in other ways. So you have different buckets where it makes sense. So 300-400 units, but kind of depends.
Yeah. Also, there's distressed scenarios. There's lease up. There are other reasons why you might want to have somebody on site. Like closer to the point in time of a transition, it's probably helpful to have somebody around because you've got a new customer base. You might be rattling the cage a little bit. If you're taking over a facility where it was very offline, you probably want somebody around and just be there to guide the tenants through the new process and get them familiar with getting online. And then a big piece is just the easiest way to capture reviews is to have somebody on site asking tenants for reviews, and because that's a big piece of the SEO puzzle, which there's only so many things you can do for SEO for storage because it's just a commodity. People are trying to find storage based on price and location. So you need to move the needle there.
And one of the challenges though too is like if you're doing it on site, you want to do it right. With a big extra space facility, they have maybe 2 or 3 people on the payroll managing it across 7 days. They have people they can plug from other stores. They have regional managers. Someone calls out sick, the show goes on. A lot of times with on-site, you have one person who works 30 to 40 hours. Like they're not there weekends. They call in sick. They go on vacation. So that can also become kind of a difficult, annoying experience for the customers too, because you drive over there to book a unit and no one's there inexplicably. So we see that happen a lot too. So you just want to make sure if you're doing it, do it right, be reliable, show up when you say you're going to show up. And that often is a challenge.
Gotcha. And you guys are young technology guys, obviously. Give us a feel for what kind of technology you advocate the smaller operator use today, from iPads on wheels to you name it. What are some of the latest cutting edge devices you guys recommend people use?
That's a generous description of us. We have some friends who are building, real AI products. Who would say, no, these are not technology guys.
We went into self-storage because we're not technology guys, but
okay, all right, fair enough.
No, we're
enough. I guess.
So I guess starting with the site and then moving online. If you want to run remotely, you very much should have access control. You need a secure gate because it's a mechanism for forcing people to pay, and it's a security measure. You want cameras, obviously, that you can access via the cloud. And then you really want to have some sort of lock mechanism. I said DaVinci and Kiss are the two sort of like market leaders in that space that they communicate. They both have their own applications, and they allow you to distribute locks without having somebody go on site. So again, you want to get a typical self-storage facility has, like a good one would have like a 30 to 35% expense ratio. You're going to get eaten alive every time somebody steps on site when you're only doing $10,000 a month in revenue. So you need to find ways to be secure and mitigate getting someone to site. These locks, though they're, there's no wiring within them. They, through a smart serial number and application, they allow for you to distribute information to tenants as soon as they pay for their unit, or as soon as they don't pay, rather, or their due date eclipses. Then when you get to the website and software, you absolutely need to allow people to book online. I mean, it's just, you can book tenants in your sleep. You can't if you don't have bookable units online. Most of every facility management provider out there these days is going to provide that. And the important thing to know is that the website and the software are two different products. You can have, and that's, the website is where you start your booking process. It's where you see the prices. And then the software is the database that manages the customer inventory and information after you've signed up. They merge somewhere in the booking process when you start putting your information in. There are a lot of different combinations out there that you could use between facility management software and website. You're not stuck with using the website that your FMS provider has. So a good example would be, in our business, our preferred software provider is StoreEdge. We like to put our clients on the StoreEdge facility management software, but then using the StoreEdge API, we've built our own website that ties into that software. And the reason we did that is, one, we've eliminated the website costs for our clients. Every other provider will charge anywhere from $150 to $750 a month for the website. And it's kind of a black box. You just have to use what they've got. We built our own website that, the upfront cost to build it was the cost we spent. It's de minimis to run it for our clients. So we pass the savings on to them. But importantly, you want your booking flow to have as little friction as possible, and you want it to mimic a traditional e-commerce checkout platform. So if a tenant is signing up for a unit on our site, something that's not common in the industry is when they fall out of the funnel, like they put in their name and their email and they stop booking and they abandon that cart, we will send them a file. We have their information, they're a lead, and we will send them automated follow-ups. And that increases conversion. And that's important because, conversion is everything in storage, especially for a 100-unit asset, when you might get, 10 phone calls a month or 10 interested customers a month in some markets. You want every customer that's willing to book. So those are the big things I'd say. It's like that's the website and the software, and then the on-site stuff, locks and access control.
But you're not advocating that someone needs to get one of those wild iPads on an all-terrain vehicle platform just to roam around the property on a continual basis then, right? We can go a little less tech than some of the robotic things we see.
Yeah, I think that's right. Those are very expensive. They're hard to use. And really just like the whole kiosk thing, that's not quite what you're saying, but like people have smartphones now too, right? So it's actually an easier, simpler, better way to do it. Like you don't need a kiosk to book. Everyone coming by your facility, give them a QR code, they'll pull it up on their cell phone and they'll book right there. So eliminate that CapEx. And I think those kiosks, they charge you $500-600 a month.
Right. Yeah, my daughter's a millennial, and I think she would say the kiosk is probably kind of chuggy at this point.
Yes.
If that's the term that they use, that it's kind of outdated and not up to times with the current technology,
Yeah.
correct?
I think
Why would you have a kiosk dispensing a lock and stuff when you can do it on your phone and
Yeah.
you
And
can
anything
have a smart lock to let people in and out?
Also, anything low voltage is a very quick way to just chew up your NOI anyway. Like there's always like one event per year that might wipe out for a small facility your income.
Right.
Month. Everybody knows
An
that.
electrician.
Yeah,
Your kiosk.
yeah. Those guys just bend you over the barrel when you have to send them out to the site in some rural location. So you just want to limit that to the extent you can.
Gotcha. And y'all, I assume, based on your platform, you're nationwide, right? There's no state you don't do based on maybe, I don't know, self-storage collections laws or something, or you'll do anywhere. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if someone wants to call you and talk to you about this service, I assume the initial call is free, right? It's just, hey, here's how this works. Here's what I'm looking for. You don't charge for that, right?
That's correct. We we have a sales team. I'm very involved in the sales process, so we're always, it's a relationship business. We like to get to know folks when they're acquiring an asset. Sometimes they pull the trigger, sometimes they don't, but we learn a lot from the conversations. We hope people we talk to learn a lot as well. And sometimes there's a fit, sometimes there's not. Sometimes they come back later on. So yeah, we work a lot with clients that we're not consultants. We're not charging for feasibility studies or our time. We'll help you. Hopefully you sign up with us. And then if you sign up with us, that's when you maybe will start getting an invoice. But
sure. So if reaching out to you guys is free, why would a smaller operator not call you? What reason would they have? Because they can talk to you, see what it would cost, hear what you got going on. There's no risk. There's no cost in doing it. So is there any reason anyone would not reach out to you?
I don't think so. We're friendly enough guys. People are busy if they don't want to do it. They're doing what they're doing and they're happy, so they don't want to waste their time. But other than that, no drawbacks. So I'll probably learn at least something, or you'll be like, these guys are idiots, but I crossed it off the list and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Sure. Okay. So on that note, then how do they reach out to you? In other words, I'm looking at the sign here. There's no phone number that gets out of that thing. There's no email. So give people your contact information if someone wants to say, hey, how does this work? What does it cost? Is it good for me or not? How do they reach you guys?
I think the best way to reach us is you can check out our website, whitelabelstorage.com. Just go to Google, type in white label storage. And then we have a get in touch section, and we respond very quickly. Like that's one of the things we found important for selling our product to owners, but also to selling their product to customers is you got to proactively respond. And that's what we do.
And other than going to whitelabelstorage.com, if you're an older person like myself and you just like to grab your phone and just, even though it's a cell phone, not an old timey dial phone, what's the best number to reach you guys at? How could someone just call you and write the number down now? Is there a phone number?
Yeah, there is on the website. I got to look it up now. I don't have it.
For your listeners, you can call me directly. My number is 716-462-3344.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that'll work too. Well, so guys, let me just ask you from a quick overview of what you're seeing in the industry. Clearly, it's morphing and changing every day. You're seeing a lot of pain and suffering in some urban markets. A lot more growth perhaps in some suburban. So your product is probably on the right path of growth, because we're probably seeing a new attraction to suburban, exurban markets, places that are off the radar of overbuilding. Where do you see the storage industry heading in the years ahead? What is your overview? You've talked to a lot of owners and such. Where do you see things going? Give me the top three things in 2025 and beyond that you think will be changing in the self-storage arena.
Yeah, we're seeing more, as you sort of touched on this a little bit, but I think there's just going to continue to be some consolidation of these smaller assets, like institutional players buying smaller facilities. That's one of the reasons we're in the space. Like there are now more service providers and more products that allow institutional owners to actually get into the space and have it be efficient. And once the service providers are there and the industry props up around it, then maybe these smaller assets start to trade at cap rates similar to the larger assets. In instances that are not just portfolio sales with managers tied to them. That's what we're seeing now. I mean, like we're seeing some REITs and some big time private equity owners saying, I want to get into this space, and they'll come to us and maybe in some cases they're asking us to potentially bird dog deals or asking us to do some feasibility around this because they're looking at it for the first time. And it is a totally different game. Like these guys are used to sort of 100,000 square foot facilities, and now they're looking at 30,000 square foot facilities, which is just run differently, and they can't run with their team. I think there's this like boat RV asset class is the software is now there to run it the same way as self-storage. So we're seeing a lot of that now. It seems to be like there are now conferences for it. That I think like this mixed use play of land that is some self-storage, maybe some of these like modular units, and then a ton of just parking and boat and RV in certain markets. That asset class really seems to be, I mean, maybe it's just anecdote through our experience, but it seems to be taking off. And I would say when you see the studies in storage about the market size, it's not clear to me that that's grouped in. And I think it probably should be, because it's the same, the cash flows, you operate on the exact same way, and the income statements look very, very similar.
Are there any technology advancements you think beyond what we have? I mean, what's lacking out there that technology could further solve, or is the technology advancements already really occurred in this space, and now it's just effectively all about proper buying and operating?
I got one before you dive in.
I don't think the technology's taken it pretty far, and I'm sure it can take it a little further, and it can like help lower expenses a little bit. But I don't think anything transformational will happen or is even needed. Like at the end of the day, it's people putting boxes in a bigger box. Like it's already an automated, smooth process. So I don't see anything big. I think as operators, particularly operators with scale, the ability to use sort of data and AI to do better pricing, to sort of A/B test your websites, what you're charging customers, running an effective increase program on your existing customers. Like you can use data and AI to get much smarter there and make more money at the facilities. But that won't fundamentally change like the user experience. It'll just make these things more profitable, which
Gotcha.
Everyone buys one of these things once. So
yeah, there's a lot of repeatable stuff that people do for us right now in the service side of things. And these AI agents, I think can provide some pretty serious leverage. I mean, just like if you could actually have a customer service software agent solve real problems, you could strip a ton of cost, like a lot of the remaining costs out of the business that are tied up in labor. And I think it doesn't necessarily have to be customer service. It could be texting with clients to try to track down payment, because a lot of work is spent around trying to keep accounts current and troubleshoot account questions for active existing customers. That is something we are starting to dabble with a little bit, that I think could really move the needle both for us and for the industry.
Okay. Well, again, guys, we're glad you were able to be here. And if someone's watching this and says, okay, well, this sounds interesting to me, again, reach out to whitelabelstorage.com and give them a call and see if it's a fit. I mean, we all are always trying to find the most efficient way to manage these facilities. And it sounds like they've got a good plan. Well worth a call. Can't hurt. See if it's a fit. And again, we thank you guys for taking the time to be here. And we'll talk to everyone again real soon.
thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.